Welcome to the Taproom Exclusive. I'm Dean Zarbal. We are at Jolly Scholar. I'm with Matt Vann. We have moved on to the Tyndall Effect. This is a New England IPA you guys do. You guys have two New England IPAs. There's Jolly East Cider and then this. This is really nice. I like New England IPAs. It's a big trend right now. Was that kind of the inspiration in doing it? Just following the trend or seeing what you can do with it?
Yeah, I think it was just kind of putting it out there and kind of answering what, again, for a lot of our customers who are, younger typically, just kind of, for them, giving them a style to kind of understand or giving them a beer to understand what the style is all about. They've heard about it, they see it, they've heard somebody mention it or whatever the case may be, and that was kind of the thought behind it is, we want to put something out there. Again, if it's something that's interesting or, the students want to know about, we want to put it out there and give them, an idea about it. Like, for example, we had Harry Potter trivia last night. We put out a butter beer.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So same kind of thought is, we feel like it's our duty, here that we're running into a lot of people or a lot of, students especially this is their first time being exposed to craft beer and being able to legally drink and all these other kinds of things. And, that's kind of our duty is, hey, you've heard about it. Let us give you one. Mm-hmm. And then from there, they can go out and see what else is out there and kind of, hold it up against it and see what they think get about it. But this was the big hot style at the time. And so we wanted to put one out there and again, it's fun. It's fun to, try new stuff. Again, 4 years ago, this wasn't something that was on our, as a homebrewer, wasn't even on my radar. And now, 4 years later, you're sitting there, you see some breweries that are literally, this is what they do, and they're doing well at it.
Absolutely.
So the same thought is, again, if it's what they want, give them a little bit of what they want, but don't lose your soul. Still make porters,
right?
But again, give them what they want.
I like to use New England's as a bit of a gateway to IPAs. Mm-hmm. I feel like it's a good style for people who tell me all the time, "Hey, I don't like IPAs." We talked about this with the white IPA. This is New England's are generally, I feel, a good gateway because the problem people usually have with IPAs aren't present in New England's.
Yes,
they don't have the bitterness. I feel comes more from like fruit,
yes,
rather than hop.
Yes, it definitely the pininess and the resinous side of what makes kind of like the Imperial or the West Coast IPAs so fantastic. It completely almost reciprocates itself to the other side of it, which is fruity or tropical fruits and the bitterness just lays down. And I know that you see high, crazy bitter numbers, but again, so much of it's coming from the Whirlpool editions and the late editions and the dry hopping and all that other kind of stuff, to where you're pulling a lot of the tropical sides of it, and you're pulling a lot less of the traditionally bitter and resinous and piney and the stuff that just sticks in the back of your throat. And I think you're absolutely right. That's why I think this is the right style for people who go, I don't drink IPAs, to go, well, hang on a minute. That's really flavorful, and the flavors that I'm tasting I like, and then off you go kind of a thing. So, again, I think the style's got a place. I think it's got a place. I think it's here for the long run. Mm-hmm. I don't think, people who want it to go away or people who think it's going to go away. I don't think it will. I think it's going to lend itself to going to a couple other different directions with it as well. And again, I think that's fun and kind of our, vision when we, got on this campus and started brewing beer on this campus was we wanted to have fun with it, right? We didn't want to be like the, when you go to like tourist towns and they got a brewery in a tourist town, and then you go in there and they got the 6 core beers and then 1 seasonal beer.
Yeah.
And it's just lifeless and dead. And what our thought was, we're going to be fun. We're going to be imaginative. We're going to experiment. We're going to get some things wrong. We're going to get some things right. But again, if we see something new and fun, we're going to put our hat out there and try it and have fun with it and and I think the style's fun, and I think the style's here.
You know, I don't think people are looking to drink the same thing over and over again anymore. I think the market's moving to this. I want experimental tastes as far as even as a consumer. I want to try, me personally, I want to try as many as I can. Mm-hmm. You know, my dad even told me recently, he goes, you have too many different beers. And I go, no, I just don't like drinking the same thing over and over again. I like trying new things. There's so much out there that I want to be able to try it. And I think that the New England style is a fun one to play with. It's been really fun to taste the differences and stuff.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. The biggest thing when we opened as a brewery was we didn't want to offer flights, right?
Okay.
And we didn't want to offer flights because we knew, because we're on a college campus and, you know, the core of our customer base and our audience comes and sees us 2 times a week, maybe even a little bit more, some a few less, but, you know, they come and see us.
Right.
And you don't want to sit there and brew 12 or 16 beers. Somebody comes and buys the equivalent of 3 or 4 or 5 beers, and they've tasted what you've worked 4 months on
right.
in a session or 2, you know, kind of a thing. So that was kind of like our big reluctance was, it's like, you know, we get it. People want to try stuff. You know, I want to try stuff.
Right.
I'm one of those people that when I go out to a new brewery now, and again, I'm, you know, maybe I'll write a 1-chapter ebook one day about social graces when you go to a new brewery. But, you know, I want to try them. I want to see, again, I want to rev through it. And after I rev through 3 or 4, then I'm going to go back up over those 3 or 4 and go, I'd like a pint of that or whatever the pour is for that beer. And then, but again, I want to try them. And again, you know, with what you see on the shelves and what you see in breweries, and, you know, you walk in and there's 16 beers, and you know you're not going to be in that area for the next 6 months. I want to try them.
Right.
And I think brewers are pretty understanding of that. I mean, obviously, they would love for you to sit down and, you know, have a pint or whatever it is, but the reality of the situation is people want to try stuff. And I think this style is the perfect style because it just throws so many crazy, big, funky flavors all up and down and all around kind of a thing. And after, you know, or still being in the IPA, you know, era of just big, you know, danky, fun, heavy, hard, bitter beers, you know, I think this is, you know, the great counterpunch.
Yeah.
You know, and I think you got to give it its day in court, you know. But again, you know, I love them both, and I think if you held my feet to the fire, I like the bigger, dankier, pinier stuff. But I can't help but thinking or saying that this beer is coming on strong, this style of beer is coming on strong, and that I'm not drinking more of these than I am the dankier stuff today.
Well, I've kind of equated the West East thing to like hip hop. I've done that. I've made that analogy is you've got the bitier West Coast, and then, but you know, obviously with hip hop things have kind of converged a little bit, but you know,
Biggie versus Tupac.
It's a little bit of like a Biggie versus Tupac thing going on right now.
Death Row versus Bad Boy.
You know, there's hardcore East Coast only. There's hardcore West Coast only, and it's kind of a funny, you know, analogy of sorts to that industry. There's, you know, and going to the point of people coming in and trying a lot of stuff. You know, Destination Cleveland, and the Brewers Association came out with the Cleveland Passport now, and I'm sure that you guys have gotten to have seen like a huge spike in people coming here now.
Yeah, with the Passport, there hasn't been another form of advertising that we've been involved in 13 years that has impacted us greater than that Passport has. Because again, we're a little bit hidden, right? Mm-hmm. We're you know, we've got a captive audience on for whatever level that is here at Case Western. But the reality of it is what it did was it turned people on that were way outside of us ever really being able to truly capture or, you know, engage. and said, hey, you got to find this place.
Yeah.
Because you have to complete it.
Right.
And here they
the
are.
The people in Avon, the people in Willoughby.
Absolutely. And then when they find us, we had, like I said, we had an outfit here yesterday that when they came in, said a husband and wife, and they said, we were in Akron. We started this. We originated, at a brewery, near there. And the head brewer there, and they didn't say who it was, said, there's this place called the Jolly Scholar, and I'm telling you, people don't know about them, and I'm telling you, they're making some of the best beer you've ever had. And they came and found us, 50-minute drive to come find us, and to get their passport stamped. Yeah. And so again, those kinds of things you just can't, you can't say thank you enough to some of these people, Leslie and the brew bus and you, and what you're doing to turn on people's dreams to other people who've never or otherwise haven't heard, about us and so on and so forth. So, again, when those efforts, and people's visions, are happening and they're materializing, and then we're seeing them. Like I said, I would guess, and this is no way factual data, but I would guess, especially during the summer, which is our slow time of the year because everybody goes home, we probably were seeing, I would say 20 people a day that we'd never met before.
Wow.
That's crazy.
That's nuts.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's absolutely.
So anybody involved in that, pat yourself on the back, because for somebody who's hard to find in the middle of nowhere, not on West 25th, not in one of these really high-profile districts, for that kind of amount of people to find us, and we're not easy to find, just truly mind-boggling, and again, now we're turned on to them. Now they're out there telling other people that, hey, there's this place. I guarantee you never heard of it, and now other people are finding us, and off we go.
The and Cleveland Beer Week's been kind of fun with that too. Did you guys do last year's Beer Week?
We did. Let's see. I forget who we collaborated with Goldhorn, and.
Because I think that's where I first came across your guys' name.
Yeah, that was early on for us. So we technically launched August of last year as a brewery. Crazy licensing craziness being on a college campus.
Absolutely.
But we got through it. So technically we're about to celebrate. It's past, but we're about to celebrate our 1 year brewing anniversary. So Cleveland Beer Week was a big thing where people, were looking at us like, who, what?
Yeah.
Who are you? Where are you? Kind of a thing. And then we started seeing stuff where, some of our, people that thought we were doing pretty good stuff, Fathead started carrying us, Nano started carrying us and having us on over there. And then, some of these breweries, were liking what we were doing or were talking about us. And then, all of a sudden we were getting, people showing up saying, hey, so-and-so told me to come here, and people that were, our mentors or our, people that we hold in very high regard, and they're talking about us. And that was, I think, kind of the crazy moment where, it didn't seem very real at the time. And then all of a sudden we just started getting flooded with people that, didn't have book bags on.
Yeah. And last year was it was a style requirement, right? It was I think you all had to do IPAs. And then this year the style restrictions, there were none. So you guys got to kind of do whatever you wanted. What's been kind of the better part of both of those?
Yeah, I do like the freedom to just kind of do whatever you want. When you get into something like, hey, it's going to be, something, hoppy, or it's going to be IPAs, or it's going to be whatever, I think you start to turn off a few people a little bit to it. I think if you just kind of leave it open-ended to say, hey, do whatever you want, right? I think, and again, just nothing but an opinion that doesn't matter, but I think what you get is you get people more willing to just say, hey, I'm going to try everything, compared to if it's just all IPAs and I'm not a hoppy person, lights off.
Right.
If I think, well, there's one or two IPAs along the way, I'm willing to try one or two,
right.
Because I'm going to try some other stuff along the way. And I think it's a great way of exposing people to styles or, removing, I think, which is important sometimes, to remove the importance of certain styles or where the popularity is today, and putting it just back on beer. And I think, that's what I'm seeing right now is, I would love the popularity to get a little bit more spread out on beer than just, hey, beers are IPAs, beers are, whatever, sours, Berliners, whatever, and put it back on, especially for Cleveland Beer Week, instead of saying, it's IPAs, Cleveland is IPAs, just put it back on Cleveland as beer, and whether you like this, that, or the other, you're going to try a whole bunch of different beer. You're going to try IPAs, you're going to try dark beers, you're going to try sours, you're going to try whatever, and just throw it back out there to do whatever you want. And I like the thought of that, because I think that kind of, removes the, I wouldn't say stigma, but it removes the, the encumbrances of just, hey, make this style of beer or something similar, but, here's the parameters. Let's remove the parameters and just go. And
it takes a little pressure off you, too, because everybody has the IPAs are up in the, stratosphere. They're high regards, and, there's a very specific taste. And, if it doesn't quite meet that, then you're going to get ripped for it. And so it kind of is really nice to be able to just play with whatever you want and not have to worry about meeting an entire market's expectations.
Yeah, and I think what you got a lot of times, too, is, I kind of, attribute it to or kind of relate it to, like the whole magician, kind of complex where, we got a whole lot of magicians brewing beer, and a lot of times, they're willing to help and be helpful, but if they got something that they want to do, sometimes people just don't want to show the magic trick completely how it's done, and I think when you sit there and you say, to somebody, for example, like that porter that we just had, hey, I think I got this great porter, but I think we could do something pretty funky with it, and then now, somebody comes in on something like a base recipe that's already done, and you can start to make some really quirky, fun one-offs of it, or two-offs or three-offs of it, and make something really magical off of that. I think that could be, a lot more exciting than everybody saying, hey, we're going to make a beer, and everybody's kind of, holding their cards on some level. I think when you could just free people of just, hey, no restrictions, just do something. If somebody's like, hey, listen, I've got this barrel-aged whatever that's been sitting here. I think this could be a great boost for our brewery. Taste it, try it, whatever. What variations would you like to put to it? I mean, let's have the conversation. I mean, let's at least enter it into the conversation. Whether some breweries want to, let people ride in on their coattails on something like that's been aging for a year or not, I don't know. But again, I think just open it up. Just let it. Let everybody shoot from the hip. Let everybody be willing to just give whatever. And again, I think what you'll find is whatever beer consumer you're trying to hit, I think you're more willing to hit them all because. Again, if it's all hoppier beers which are driving the market, or IPA-ish style beers that are really driving the market, I think you're a lot more likely to get into anything and everything. Where porter drinkers and stout drinkers who hate IPAs are going to come and say Cleveland Beer Week's a really big deal now.
Yeah, absolutely. And anything that I might have missed about Jolly Scholar in general over the last few parts that you might want to get out before we get going?
Yeah, we love beer drinkers, and whether you have a backpack or not, we'll take you. I think we're going to be making some. It's exciting because we're finally wrapping up our first year. We're coming up and catching our breath. We're adding more tanks so that we can breathe a little easier. And I think we got this next year is going to be a lot of fun stuff. It's going to be a lot of weird stuff, and so that's kind of our theme for this year. Is we're going to get really weird.
Absolutely. Stay tuned to Jolly Scholar for all the updates, and thank you all for listening. Matt, thank you so much for your time.
Dean, thanks.
And enjoy the rest of your night, guys. Have a good one.